A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to films I should have talked about years ago. And now, guess what we're going to do today? We're going to take a look at Disney again. Because in 2014, they brought along something that's been criminally underrated. And in recent years, a lot of us have begun to realize this. I actually just gave this another watch recently after being inspired by one particular part in Kingdom Hearts 3 that I went ahead and played through. The world of the movie Big Hero 6. Yeah, knowing the fact that it's been 8 years now since this movie came out, I really should have talked about this some time ago. Knowing that all this time has passed now, it's about time that I do bring myself up to at least acknowledge the fact that this is one Disney movie that has existed for a long time and has unfortunately not been treated very well. Unlike what we've seen with a good majority of Disney films throughout the 2010s, from Frozen to Tangled, and even the likes of various Pixar films, because by this point in time was when they were at their best. But let's go ahead and just talk about the plot. It's as simple as a family living in a fictional town of San Fran, Tokyo. Yeah, a combination of Japan and California put together. So, in a way, that's pretty clever to create some sort of fictional town. Use some inspiration derived from reality. I could see myself going through creating some sort of Milwaukee-Chicago hybrid. Milwaukee, I'd probably call it. But that's probably besides the point here, because this is in fact the city of the home of Tadashi and Hiro, the two main characters whom of course play an important role throughout the movie and its time length. Hiro, of course, is the younger brother of well-known collegiate inventor and genius Tadashi. And Tadashi actually invites Hiro to come over to his college. His school, which is in fact specifically made on creating the finest known inventions and genius intellectual ideas known to humankind, apparently was a huge breeding ground for excitement and happiness that Hiro never would have thought. Because throughout some time he had actually been using some illegal tactics, such as betting on bot fights. He has his own invention known as microbots, which were somehow capable of overthrowing the likes of various other bots that other people have created. These microbots were able to disassemble themselves, be controlled from one thing that is more powerful than any known thing known to mankind, the human brain. And Hiro was able to use this to his advantage. By simply using wavelengths from his own brain, he is able to control the microbots at even the smallest possible level. They can do anything that he would ever want them to do. So the thing is that he had himself an idea that nobody else had ever seen coming. Yet he only put this in the smallest known figure. But when Tadashi was able to convince him that he should at least participate in a competition that would allow for his invention to potentially succeed above anything else, Hiro eventually agreed to come along. Tadashi even went as far to showcase his own invention, alongside his own friends with the likes of people Freddy, Wasabi, Go-Go, and some others. They were able to showcase a lot of their own inventions here and there, but Tadashi's was the most significant. He created himself a personal healthcare robot called Baymax. And the thing is that Baymax was unlike any kind of robot that had ever existed. This was in fact one of those, specifically designed for healthcare, but he can actually do so much more than just treat wounds and respond to the cries of those that are in pain from an injury or sickness or other sort of confliction. But of course, when Hiro and Baymax first saw each other, they didn't necessarily go off in the right direction. But the real tragedy that would eventually show up was when a fire breaks out at Tadashi's college. Hiro goes in and tries to save him along with another individual whom he had gotten very well acquainted with by this point, but unfortunately a large explosion had actually killed Tadashi in the blink of an eye, along with another colleague. So the thing is, both of which were declared dead, and after some time, Hiro was in a really bad spot. He was in a lot of emotion, a lot of stress, and possibly much more than ever. So this was of course a point where we do get to see a lot of the things unfold post-death of the family itself. While Hiro tries his best to cope with whatever's left of his own brother, including Baymax himself, he has a very hard time trying to find out exactly who was responsible for Tadashi's death. After some consideration, and of course some little issues with Baymax, Hiro eventually works up the courage to find his friends that Tadashi introduced him to, and he would eventually find the usage in doing the time necessary to finding out who was responsible for the fire. And after some time passes, he eventually finds out that his whole Microbots collection that he had made for a long time were all gone. His Microbots apparently have actually been in reproduction for a long time, especially since the fire had occurred. A mysterious individual was actually creating Hiro's own invention from under his own nose. An old warehouse apparently was the home to this new production, this new factory that would allow millions of Microbots to be created and controlled from Hiro's own headband, which transmitted brainwave frequencies to the bots themselves. As a result, his own invention has fallen into the wrong hands, and as such, he is in constant danger of potentially being hurt or even killed by his own creation. The one and only issue that humanity has worried for so long, their own creations could turn against them. Someday, one day, it could happen. But as we eventually find out, the mysterious figure himself is actually somebody that he actually knew. After falsifying that the suspect was originally someone else, Hiro eventually knows that this man himself is not like who he used to be. He actually intends to bring down what is left of the other man's business. Even though they had worked together back in the day, it turns out one is sick and jealous of the other's work. And as such, he wants to use revenge by using Hiro's own invention to bring it down once and for all. And possibly this would set up a twist to where it's some sort of falsification, a setup of some sort, to make Hiro look like the suspect, because the Microbots were after all his own inventions. Otherwise, it's as simple as fixing one big problem that had happened. Apparently the man who is attacking them is mad, because he had actually lost his own daughter due to some experiment gone wrong. You see, what happened was that she was assigned to go through a wormhole that they had created a long time ago. But after all these years, losing her to the wormhole and the unbelievable effects that caused it to go completely awry have made him feel the same level of hatred, sadness, and overall spite of humanity and all of San Fran, Tokyo itself, just as what Hiro had originally felt about Tadashi when he died. So the thing is that while the daughter had unfortunately not come back from the wormhole, Hiro was actually able to find out a way to get through the same wormhole that she had gone through. And as such, with Baymax's help, they were both able to rescue her and the spacecraft that she was in. But unfortunately, this would actually cost the life of one and only Baymax. He would not make it out of the wormhole. At least not without himself. But he, however, was able to successfully give Hiro his own chip. The same chip that Tadashi had originally programmed after a long time to make Baymax, Baymax. So when Hiro discovers this, he's actually able to get Baymax completely rebuilt. And when he installs that chip, Baymax's memories are all brought together in a different version of himself. A different body, the same exact one that he originally had, but a completely rebuilt version. So a second Baymax is created, but his memories are fully restored. So he remembers Hiro with ease, and eventually, Hiro is confident enough that he and his team, the one and only Big Hero 6, can fight together, protect Sanford and Tokyo from any harm whenever possible. And that is Big Hero 6, 2014, Disney and Marvel. They had actually collaborated with each other on this project, so it is not anything like what we had seen in the MCU. One of the few instances that I would probably be okay with Marvel Studios coming into my life, but otherwise, there's not much that we can take up. At least without feeling a bit mad because of extremely overrated pieces that keep getting billions of dollars pulled out of our wallets, purses, pockets, etc. and just walking away with all that and putting them in their huge golden vaults. I mean, really, it is the ultimate cash cow. The ultimate spider web that unfortunately we're all stuck in and we can't get out. It's more stronger than cyanoacrylate. And you probably know, it's one of the most powerful adhesives known to mankind. And what could be worse than that? This exact cyanoacrylic spiderweb is holding us without any ways of letting go of us, and we're getting bombarded with bugs. Bugs of all sorts. Bugs that keep biting us and won't stop. They keep releasing pests of all sorts into our system, and we cannot control anything that happens. That is what I feel the MCU perfectly sums itself up with. But analogies aside, I will still point out that Big Hero 6 is still a really great movie. Probably the biggest piece of significance that I find entertaining is the original song by Fall Out Boy called Immortals. So, that's probably the biggest reason why I, in fact, love this movie. Being that this was the first time I watched it in full length rather than partially, because the last time that I've seen this was during high school when this originally came out in 2014. We basically watched it after some exams were over, but unfortunately, because of how short the classes were at the time, we only got through about 30 minutes worth of the movie. So this is the first time ever that I've watched Big Hero 6 from start to finish, ever. Thanks to Disney Plus. So, I'm real glad to be spending a few extra dollars of my weekly paycheck just to power the one and only place that I can get my entire Disney fix put together. As a result, let's go ahead and give this one a rating. For this, 8.3 out of 10.1. So Big Hero 6 isn't entirely perfect, which would probably make sense because there are a few things that seem a bit generic and some pieces that might have some stereotypical controversy, but we haven't really heard much of that. Which is a good thing because this isn't necessarily new, so we don't necessarily have to put out a lot against it. I've found nothing that could make this a bad movie so far, but maybe if I watch this more, then maybe I might eventually find something about it that could be negative, and as a result, this video might be completely worthless. So, 15 minutes and ongoing, I'm still satisfied with how it is so far. Big Hero 6 really is a good movie, so definitely give it a watch at least once and understand what it is from the inside out. But if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.